Following portion of Daytime Tri-Cities is sponsored by SFG Medicare.
Well, today on Medicare Tips with Andrew, we are talking about how to avoid Medicare mistakes, the most common mistakes that people make. Andrew, welcome back to the show.
Glad to be here.
Well, certainly that is a big decision when you're going on Medicare. It can be overwhelming. All of the options out there. You've been in this industry for years. Tell us about some of the mistakes people make.
So probably one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make is going with what their friend has. So Medicare plans are very complicated, and just going with what your friend has or your neighbor has that works for them isn't always the best idea.
Which you always hear, try to get information from other people. So why is that so important that you do this on your own?
Well, the reason is everyone has a different situation. So Medicare plans are a little bit different than, say, other insurance. And so Medicare plans can be very specific as far as doctors, prescriptions, different things like that. And people have different needs, different lifestyles, different health needs, different prescriptions that they're on. So you really have to find out for yourself, out of all these plans that are out there, which one's going to fit you the best.
How is Medicare so different from your typical insurance plan?
Well, Medicare plans, there's so many of them. There's a bunch of different companies, a bunch of good companies, and each plan is going to be a little bit different on the networks and what doctors take what, and probably the biggest thing is prescriptions. And so what you don't want to do is show up at the pharmacy and not have your prescription covered, or be paying a lot more for your prescription because you went with a certain company. Yeah,
that certainly makes a lot of sense. What other mistakes do you see out there?
So another one is kind of similar to the first one, and that's just buying a plan. So when you're looking at the plans, it's easy to say, okay, yeah, that looks pretty good, and going on that one. Well, if you don't do some of the research as far as are all your doctors covered or all your medicines covered, that's always a big mistake. And that's what I do for you to make it a lot easier.
So that's obviously where that local advisor comes into play.
Yes, so that would probably be the third mistake that I see, is when people just call 1-800 number, or they respond to something in the mail. The difference in having a local person that deals with multiple companies is that we actually care about the people in our community. When you call 1-800 number, most of the time you're just getting someone in a warehouse in a cubicle, and they have one job, and that's to sell you whatever they're going to sell you.
Always nice to be able to sit down and see that person face to face too.
Yeah, all my clients actually have my personal cell phone. So as they have questions, because Medicare can be confusing, my clients can call me, and they always get me. When you call one of those 1-800 numbers to sign up with a plan, you're more than likely you're never going to talk to that person again. You're going to get a different person every time you call.
What about a person's loyalty to a specific company? They've heard a lot about this brand or this company.
So we run into that too. They've had insurance through their employer with a certain company for years, and it's been great. But employer plans and Medicare plans are completely different. And so if someone comes to me and says, hey, I really like this company, then we'll look at that company and do everything we can to kind of align that up. But if you have doctor's issues or medicine issues or something like that, then I'm going to kind of steer you away from that.
Yeah, certainly something you want to check. Any other mistakes that people make that you want to share?
So we're coming up on the annual enrollment period, and so it's always really a good idea to review your plan so you know what changes are happening, because every year there's a lot of changes.
Right.
And when people think their insurance does something it doesn't do, that always causes a problem. And it may have done that 2 years ago, but because of the changes in the plan, it doesn't, the copay is different, or they have a benefit that they didn't know that they have.
Yeah, so many plans out there. You want to make sure you find the one that's right for you. Andrew, great to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Hey, a big, busy time ahead. You can get prepared now. You can call Andrew with any information that you might need. His number is right there on your screen, 737-1865 for more information.
The preceding portion of Daytime Tri-Cities was sponsored by SFG Medicare.